So, expectations we've just talked about. Let's name your inner critic. Own her or him. Often our inner critic sounds a lot like our parents. Right? Or somebody else in our lives who felt it was their place to criticize everything about us. The voice is important. Whose voice is it? Your inner critic. Because that's going to help you get to the source of why that voice is so powerful. If it is coming from somebody as important as your mother, no wonder it has such an impact on you. So then part of changing that relationship with your inner critic would be doing your mother work on that relationship with your mother, to really look at the wounding that your little person is holding on to about not being good enough because of that criticism. And we're not blaming mom, we're just using mom as an example because it came up for Lynn. Okay? So quickly, let's go around the room. Tom, the name of your inner critic?
Go away.
Go away. Love it. Cheryl. Cherylina. Very personal. Yeah. Dolores. Dad. Okay.
Ed.
Okay.
Maxine. Chuck.
Excellent. Got 2 Chucks now. Mother. Yeah.
Mary.
Mother Mary.
Jim.
Jim. Okay.
Eric.
Priscilla. Nice.
Harold.
Okay.
Blanche.
Blanche. I like that one, yes.
I put down Susan.
We are our worst critics, aren't we? Nobody else gets in our way as well as we do. And all of that is coming from our upbringing, our early experiences, our relationships. It's coming from past lifetimes. It's coming from all over the place. Would you be willing to just let it be? Would you be willing to say, this is me, warts and all. In this moment, this is as good as I get. Could I be better? Could I be a better me? Sure. But until you know what it is that you are unhappy about in the present you, you're not going to be able to get to what you think of as your better you if you don't know what it is that you need to change. That's why we're doing this as part of connecting to your intuition. I could have come in here today and I could have just given you guys a whole bunch of exercises that you could have done with one another. But I know how important this piece is. We spend almost 3 months on this piece and we keep coming back to it when we do the program. Because these are the unconscious conversations that you're having day after day after day that are holding you in a place that is comfortable, familiar, and safe. Even when, by all other standards, it is not comfortable, not familiar, and not safe. But for you it is, right? It's the staying in the crappy, shitty job with the boss who abuses you. It's staying in the relationship that's abusive. It's staying in the thought patterns that are abusive because you know them. What you don't know is what's out there. What you don't know is what it's going to look like. Susan, you don't know what that book is going to look like yet. And until you step away from the confines that you've created for yourself, it won't have a chance to become what it's here to become. If 10 years ago, when I decided this is going to be my work, I had said, and it's going to look just like this, I don't mean how it looks today. I mean, if I decided it had to look a certain way and nothing else was going to be good enough, it never would have got off the ground. And I'd still be working for the bank, making $30,000 a year, doing something that I didn't love. Some years with this work, I make $30,000 a year, but guess what? I love the work that I do. Right? So let's talk about your ego for a moment. we're going to pass by releasing your doubts, resistance, and expectation for the moment. And I want you to go to page 21. Meet your ego. And don't worry about the wise self, divine essence, and inner warrior. We're going to come back to them. Okay. Now, our culture tells us the ego is bad. Our culture tells us that we need to suppress the ego, we need to push it down, we need to get away from it. Our culture tells us that the ego is what keeps us from living our dreams. And the metaphysical community tells you this as well. It's a place where Doreen Virtue and I go like this, or Sylvia Brown and I, we go like this. Because as soon as I start reading in anybody's book, I don't care who it is, about how bad the ego is, I want to throw the book away, preferably hard against a wall. Your ego is this beautiful part of your very human self, whose only job is to keep you safe based on the instructions that you have given it for it to do that exact job. So feel that for a moment. Okay? You have given instructions to that part of yourself that this is the box in which you feel most comfortable, and anything that steps outside that box takes you out of your comfort zone and what you know. So your ego's job is to do everything possible to bring you back into that comfort zone. It's doing a spectacular job for most of us. And yet it gets such a bad rap, right? Why would you take any part of yourself and make it bad or try to get rid of it? You're here to be a complete human being. Mind, body, and soul, energy, spirit, emotion, physical, mental. The moment that you take any part of yourself, if I decided that my right ankle is what's holding me back from following my dreams, and I make my right ankle the reason why I'm not following my dreams, what do you think is the first thing that's going to happen to that right ankle? Yeah, I'm going to break it. And then for sure I'm not moving forward because now I'm hobbled. When you look at your ego as the enemy to your success, you're hobbling yourself and your ego. And your poor ego is just desperately trying to do its job for all the disrespect that it gets. Here's what you can do to change that. First of all, please acknowledge your ego and thank it for all the work that it's done for you, following all of your rules and regulations for your safety and security. Thank it for doing such a great job. It just wants some acknowledgement, just wants to be recognized for the work it's doing. So you say, thank you. And by the way, I'm not going to ask you to name your ego, so you're off the hook for that. It is simply your ego. So you say, thank you, ego. I recognize now, I see how the doubts and the resistance and the inner critic have all done their jobs so well, and they're the minions of the ego. Because I've told you, this is what I need to feel safe. And know that those feelings of safety and security, again, they're coming from that family of origin, those early life experiences, and even some of those other lifetime experiences. Those messages that tell you what it's safe and not safe to do. And we live in a fear-based culture. So there's a lot of messaging about what it's not safe to do. It's not safe to be rich, because then there's all the baggage about what it means to be rich. But it's not safe to be poor, because it's all the baggage about what it means to be poor. It's not safe to succeed. It's not safe. It's not safe. It's all the messaging. Okay. So the first thing is to say thank you. Thank you, ego. Then the second thing is to assure your ego that it's okay to do it differently. Tell your ego you've got a whole new set of instructions that you would like to give it. Ego, here's how we're going to do it now. We're going to start writing that book. We're just going to get a piece of paper and a pen. Or we're going to sit in front of our computer and we're just going to start writing that book, ego. And it's going to be totally fine because it's safe for us to do that. It's totally safe for you to get up in front of people and start running your workshops. You tell that to your ego. Ego, it's totally safe for us to do that now. Right? Yeah. Give it a new set of instructions. And then as you move forward, continue to check in with your ego and see how it's doing. How is it feeling? Because it's going to take a little bit of adjustment for your ego to not do the work that you've given it to do, holding you back, and instead help you with the work that you're here to do moving forward. Right? Is it not safe to be intuitive because other people have told you that you're foolish or you're silly, or they've laughed at you or they've mocked you, or in another lifetime they burned you at the stake? Or plucked out your eyes? That was one of mine. I was an advisor to a king and I gave him news he didn't like. I saw a vision of his future that he didn't like, and so he had my eyes removed. Funny thing is, I could still see because the vision didn't come from here. I also was booted out of the court, which was probably the best thing that could have happened to me in that lifetime. But I digress. This is the kind of conversation that I want you to start having with that part of yourself, that precious, precious part of yourself, that beautiful, beautiful ego, who's only ever been doing exactly what you told it to do. Connecting with your wise self, divine essence, and inner warrior. We know how to do this now, right? So we're going to do this really quickly. So we've had all this fun connecting with those aspects of ourselves that we would consider sometimes to be negative, and we've changed our relationship with them. Guess what? You also have your wise self, your divine essence, and your inner warrior. It's often easier to connect with our inner critic, though, than it is to connect with our wise self. Because it's very familiar. We're so used to that voice in our head, it's like an old friend that keeps beating us up. But our inner goddess or our inner god, is it as easy to connect with that? Talk about resistance. I have students who graduated from last year's program who still haven't done this exercise because they have had such trouble connecting to that positive, uplifting, supportive part of themselves, to acknowledging it and seeing it and working with it. They still graduated, but we're having some conversations now. So I want you to connect in with your wise self for a moment. On Thursday night, I was telling you how amazingly wise I know you are, how brilliant beyond measure you are, how you have all your solutions and all your answers, how successful you are. That's your wise self. What is your wise self's name? Write it down. And if you got resistance, make it up. Your divine essence is that connection that you have to higher source, the God within you, the goddess within you, your divine spark. We all have one. Moving forward, you're going to get to know these three aspects of yourself really, really well, because these are the ones that are going to help you in the conversations you're going to be having with your inner critic and the rest of that troop, because you're not doing it all on your own. And these are the ones that you're going to start practicing letting show up when you show up. You see a white jacket? Don't tell them you hear the voices. That's all I can tell you.
When I'm sitting there and Ralph and talking back and forth. Yep, that could be interesting.
You'll be fine. So your divine essence, same thing. Name. And your inner warrior. This is your strength, your inner warrior. This human journey is not for the faint of heart. It takes an enormous amount of courage to say, send me back. I want to do it again. I didn't get it all the first time. I got to go back again. It takes an enormous amount of courage to say, I'm going to trust my intuition, when everyone around me is telling me what a ridiculous idea that is and how impossible it is. It takes an enormous amount of courage to be vulnerable enough to your own gifts and abilities and say, I'm going to stand in these. All right? That's your inner warrior. When you connect with your inner warrior, she or he is the one that's going to stand up for you. Right? If you've ever had the experience of being bullied anywhere in your story, I invite you and your inner warrior to go back to that moment and let your inner warrior stand up for you. That'll heal that memory in a moment. Anytime anyone has crossed your boundaries, gotten in your face, made you feel small because there was a part of you that let them do that, go back to that memory with your inner warrior and together stand up and say, no fucking way. And then come back to this moment and feel the difference in yourself. Okay. We're not going to get our second break, sorry. You'll see when you go through this chapter how much information is in here. There's loads and loads of exercises that you can do and you can work with on your own or with partners, with your friends or somebody in the class that you've connected with today. But we're not completely done because I do want you to have the opportunity, with everything that we've already done, to do a psychic reading on the person next to you. What? You're not all going, yay? I can't wait to do this. I've been waiting for 3 hours to be able to do this, to test my intuition.
Wait, I need to go have a talk with Ralph.
Okay, remember our 6-year-olds who are out playing in the mud? Your inner critic, your doubting demon, and your backpedaler, send them out to the mud pit too. Off they go. You can pick them up afterwards if you still need them, but let them go out and play in the mud. Invite your authentic self, your inner warrior, your divine essence, and your wise self. Invite them in. Okay? This is a container that is entirely safe. You know that, right? We've spent 3 hours together. We've laughed. We've hit some pretty tender spots. You've all been amazingly brave and courageous. You can do this. You got this. So here's what you're going to do. We've got lots of space. You're going to partner up. It's just going to be super easy to do it with the person that's next to you. So Diane and Susan, Ruth and Bonnie, in partners all the way through, Tom and Cheryl. If you have your deck of oracle cards, bring them out. If you haven't got a deck of oracle cards, I've got this huge stack here that you can work with, okay? And here's what you're going to do. You're going to find a spot somewhere in the building that's away from everybody else. Give yourself a little bit of space. This is going to be a quick reading. You're going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes. We are going to go over today, so just, psychically let all of your family members know we'll be about 15 minutes over probably. You're going to pull a heart card for your partner. Okay? I'll show you the way that I do it. So I'm sitting next to Tom here. We're having a session. He said, I'd like you to pull a heart card for me. I want to see where my heart's at today. So as he's telling me that, I've got the cards in my hand. I knock them, clears any energy from the last time I've used them. Now, with the way that I do it is that as I'm talking and connecting with Tom, I'm shuffling the cards, and I allow the card that wants to come out for him to come to me. I pull the card for him. This is my technique. You can do it any way you want. Usually at the end of a session, if we've done a lot of card pulls, I'll say to the client, let's pull one more card that is the governing message for the whole session, and I invite them to pull that card. Okay. I just find that for me there's a better flow if I'm the one pulling the card. Do it whatever way comes to you. You have this card. This is called Heart View. The first thing that you do is you look at the picture and allow whatever comes to you, message or guidance or just an observation about the picture, to be the first thing that you share with the other person. So I happen to have the advantage of knowing where all these photographs came from. This is a picture of a ginger plant that was taken when we were in Kauai on a walk up to the Fern Grotto on the island of Kauai. And these beautiful hearts are looking away from one another. They're not seeing eye to eye. Then I would look at the message on the back and I would share the message with Tom. I would say, this is the channeled message for this heart, Tom. It says, do you always need the other person to see your point of view? Do you always need to be right? Do they? Your truth is yours and theirs is theirs. Your sense of self-worth does not depend on them agreeing with you. From there, you can go into the guidebook if you have it. There are stories for each of these cards, each of these messages that could have additional information for the person you're reading for. Or you can also move into what comes up for you from that channeled message. That there may be somewhere in your life where somebody else is trying to impose their point of view on you, or you may be doing the same thing and not realizing it. And so the message of the card is about allowing each person to have their own truth of their story, their truth of their experiences. That's it. It's a 5-minute sharing of what comes to you with the other person. You notice that I didn't say, I don't know what this means, but I simply looked him in the eye and shared, trusting that some piece of that, or all of it, is going to land for him. And not worrying about being right about it, and not worrying about if it doesn't land for him either. Your partner may go, it's not really, I don't get any of that. Remember that your inner critic is out there playing in the mud. You just take a breath and you say, that's okay. It might make sense later. You don't try to explain it. You don't go into your head. You just leave the message with them. There's always something. There's always a kernel, a nugget of value in anything that you intuitively share with somebody else, whether or not they receive it. You can keep that card if you like to. I just want you to keep it. It's a gift. Before you leave today, you're each going to get to take one of these. Okay, so find yourself a place. I'm going to wander around and check in, see how everybody's doing. You're going to give about 5 minutes for each person, and then you switch. So how was that? So I want to share something with you. When I was starting this process of creating this healing set, these cards, my biggest fear, my huge doubt, my huge resistance, my inner critic, the biggest fear that I had was that my cards wouldn't work. That everybody else's oracle cards on the market would work, but mine wouldn't work. That's where I went with my fear when I started this project. What if they don't work for people? What if people pick them up and they go, I don't know, no, nothing, not getting anything. Now, I've worked with oracle cards my whole career as an intuitive healer, and I've worked with oracle and divination since I was a teenager. I know that these things work, but somehow I got it in my head that of all the cards that are out there, mine wouldn't work. So there's my beautiful ego giving me that thought in an effort to prevent me from sticking my neck out and doing this, because that's what I had taught myself. That's what I had given, those are the instructions that I had given to my ego, to that part of myself. And then I had to laugh at myself, because the next thought that popped into my head was, what, are you fucking nuts? How can they not work? They're hearts, for goodness sakes. Even if you didn't write a single thing on the back and just had the pictures. Right? Because it's actually not about me. That's what it was about transformation that I wanted to share. Thank you, Cheryl. See, I knew you'd remind me. You did an awesome job. You did an awesome job. It's not about you. One of the words that came up for Cheryl, do you mind if I share? Was transformation. That was the word that really hooked her in the card that she pulled. And we started talking about what is transformation. Transformation is an energy that is bigger than you are. That pulls you forward, kicking and screaming, digging your feet in, saying, no, I can't possibly, it can't be me, I can't. And despite all of that, still takes you forward. Right? It's bigger than you are. You're all here today because you felt an energy that was bigger than you were. Despite saying to yourself, Kelly, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to go. Or whatever things came up in the morning where you thought, I don't know, it's raining out. But you're here because you each have a calling. And that calling is bigger than you are. It's bigger than your doubts. It's bigger than your fears. It's bigger than your inner critic. And you know what it feels like when you say yes to that calling, right? When you imagine that book in its completion, and you feel what that feels like. When you imagine your workshops and people are coming and they're full and they're loving it, and you feel that excitement of, oh yeah, that's what that could look like. That's the energy that's bigger than you are. It's the vision. Your trailer at the farmers markets doing your work, the vision. Even when you don't know how to get between here and the vision, that energy of I don't know. As long as you have a vision and a clarity of what that vision looks like. And you don't have to know everything about it. Like the vision is, for me, my vision was, I want to make a difference in the world. And the difference that I want to make in the world is around people's healing. I want to empower people to know how capable they are to heal themselves and then live the life that they came here to live. That was my big vision. I didn't know how, I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I had that big vision. And so then I trusted my intuition, followed the guided actions that I was given, even when it was scary, and even when I didn't know, and even when I had to say to people who were the naysayers, I don't know, I can't give you an answer, I just don't know yet. It comes from here. Every time I talk about it, I can feel it. It's this pull, right? And you're going, no, 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 damn it, here I go. And then you stand in it. Everybody stand up. Please. Get up. Okay, left hand up, right hand down. Left hand up, right hand down. I know, it takes a moment. That's right. What Tom was saying, this is the reason we do it like this. The reason we do it like this is for the reception, receiving, and giving. So I'm receiving from Tom and I'm giving to Susan. And Susan is receiving from me. Okay, though there's two different philosophies, but let's talk about that afterwards. So clockwise is bringing positive energy in, counterclockwise is clearing. So we want to go clockwise because we want to bring all this energy in that we've created today. Then we will go counterclockwise to release it. Okay, thank you. All right, so closing your eyes and visualizing and imagining that beautiful imagination of yours. There's an energy that's swirling and it's moving clockwise from you. Okay, it's like a whirlpool. It's going clockwise and it's swirling all on the inside of this amazing circle. And in this energy is everything that we have done today. Everything that we've shared, everything that we've learned, every bit of laughter, all of it is swirling around in this beautiful vortex of energy. And breathe it in. And now, with your beautiful imagining, we're going to turn and we're going to send that energy in the opposite direction of releasing. We're going counterclockwise now. Visualize it swirling. And as we do that, we're going to lift our arms up. We're going to raise that beautiful energy. And with total love in our hearts and gratitude, we open our hands, release, keep your hands up, send it out into the world so that everyone else can benefit from it too. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart in prayer position. And then slowly open your eyes and look around the circle. Connect with everyone. Thank you, everyone. And the circle is now open. You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.